What's going on, guys? I'm your coach of the Portland Trail Blazikens, bringing you week 1 of the Mono-Gen IBL season, I guess. I'm going against Dallas Tornadus, coached by Hihoshi. He has Generation 2, and like I've said, I'm Generation 4. Conveniently, my team's actually right next to him, so you can kind of see both, but we'll run down his roster with Titar, Raikou for Alligator, Houndoom, Lantern, Ariados, Scizor, Xatu, Piloswine. So actually Generation 2 has decent physical threats in Scizor, Tyranitar, for Alligator, and then some good, and then Piloswine's always like an underrated, just good mon, and then some special threats like Raikou, Houndoom, and then kind of an annoying mon in Xatu. All in all, it's a decent generation, and I think he picked a pretty good team from it. Looking like off the cuff, you see that Lantern and Pylo can both resist or like be immune to Rotom. Rotom can handle Lantern and Pylo with Leaf Storm, and the only mon that's in the air is Xatu, so Earthquake on Garchomp is really good after Xatu's gone. Looking at the team I ended up bringing, we've got Monferno, Monkey Madness here with Close Combat, Flare Blitz, U-Turn, and Slack Off. I could click Close Combat on the entire team besides Scizor, which I obviously needed Flare Blitz for. I probably could have ran Flamethrower because then I wouldn't have recoil. But Flare Blitz would also be decent against Xatu, but more importantly, I'd be U-turning out on it because I'm not running Mach Punch. I'm just running Blaze in case I get chipped down. And then besides that, I have Slack Off for recovery if I have a turn that I think I can do that. Next up, we have Bubblegum, the Mesprit with Stealth Rock, Energy Ball, HP Fire, and U-turn. Stealth Rock, just in case I can get it up against Xatu. Energy Ball for Titar and Piloswine, as well as for Alligator. This is like a halfway check against the Gator if he gets a D-Dance up, because that Colbur lets me live even a +2 crunch, though I think at +2 liquidation might be able to kill. And no, it wouldn't. It'd do like 80. So Mesprit just kind of helps tone down the Feraligatr in case he gets boosted. And then again, U-turn. Ideally, he goes like Xatu on potentially me going rocks, and then I U-turn out into Bandito the Weavile with Low Kick, Knockoff, Pursuit, and Facade. I didn't really need another move, so I just did Facade in case I think Ariados gets Toxic Spikes, and you know, just in case he gets a layer up and I didn't feel like removing him, I could just go and click Facade. Besides that, Life Orb, just because I can click buttons. Knockoff spam is real here, and then Low Kick for Tyranitar. Besides that, Scizor always like destroys me, so there's no point having coverage for it. Like Natural Gift with the Fire Berry was suggested by Sky, but I didn't want to even risk taking a Bullet Punch because I would immediately be blown back. And then Pursuits, obviously, in case I can get a chance to trap the Xatu. Next, we have Garchomp with the Yachi Berry, so I can live any HP Ice. I think even like +1, potentially a +2 HP Ice, depending what it's coming from. And then Earthquake spam, but I can do Stone Edge. And then Outrage spam as well, because I think Hihoshi's Steel type is Scizor. Yeah. So if Scizor is gone, I can click Outrage a bunch, depending if Earthquake's the play or not, and then Fire Fang for the potential Scizor. Rough Skin. So if the Scizor does hit me, potentially like try to U-turn out on me, it chips him down. Next I have Stud Muffin, the Probopass. Oh, Slice, the Garchomp. But this Probopass is Protect, Toxic, Earthquake, Volt Switch with pretty much max SpDef and HP, and just optimized for the 1/16th on leftovers. This mon was my dedicated answer to Raikou if it is a sub-calm mindset. Even if it's 252 HP, Earthquake would break sub on Raikou. He's never going to be running HP Fighting or HP Ground for Probopass. It would always be HP Ice, so he can touch Garchomp. And if he has Aura Sphere, that requires him to be the shiny Rash variant in because it was an event mon. And if that's the case, Garchomp actually outspeeds, which that's what Garchomp's speed creep is. Weavile's speed creep is just normal max speed. Raikou, no speed creep here. This was speed creeping, I think, Adamant 252 T-Tar. And again, this is speed creeping Rash Raikou, and so I'd be able to outspeed and Earthquake it. So I don't think he'd bring the Rash variant because he wouldn't be thinking about Probopass in general because his Mon is not common. So Earthquake always breaks the Sash, or excuse me, always breaks the Sub. I can Volt Switch out if it's early game and I'm looking for pivots. Otherwise, I'm just Toxic protecting things. Obviously, I don't touch Scizor, but with Monferno actually being an extremely good Scizor answer, because with that Eviolite, I have decent bulk. Bullet Punch is resisted, does like 15. Monferno can actually live a +6 Monferno with this, or a +6 Scizor Bullet Punch with this spread, and then I just kill with Flare Blitz. So I wasn't too concerned there. And then finally, we have Rotom Mo, the Clippers, with Choice Scarf outspeeding Feraligatr. So this is kind of my more standard answer to Feraligatr. I can Volt Switch on his entire team, besides, again, Lantern and Piloswine, which I could just Leaf Storm for free. I have Defog in case he goes for webs on Ariados, and then I have HP Fire for Scizor, which is the only thing that is okay with taking both Volt Switches and Leaf Storms, but it would die by 2 Hidden Power Fires. And Rotom Mo would be able to take Bullet Punches for days. It couldn't take a U-turn, though, because it's obviously super effective stab. Yeah, but again, I said this is post-com, so we're just going to jump right into the action here. This is the team. I will switch this after the first battle, or first turn, but Hihoshi brought Ariados, Tyranitar, Houndoom, Piloswine, Xatu, and Raikou. And so, first impression, you'd think he's going to lead Ariados or Piloswine. There's a chance he would lead Raikou to just get like a quick Volt Switch off, but with Garchomp being one of my potential leads, and I guess Probopass, I didn't think that was inherently going to be an option. People don't normally lead Xatu, they like double into Xatu to try and bait rocks, and then I guess Tyranitar's potentially a lead, but I did not expect Houndoom as a lead, and I did not expect Xatu or Raikou as a lead. So for me, I thought I could freely lead Monferno. And so that is what I do. Monferno, it has a good matchup against almost his entire team. In fact, I'd say it had, of all of my Pokemon, the best matchup. Yeah, that's about it. And so he leads Ariados, which again, I was kind of expecting. And so this pretty much screams I'm setting up sticky webs. Because Ariados can't touch Monferno really, like I'd do 15 or something, and nothing on this team appreciates, unless just a bait of Flash Fire on Houndoom, nothing appreciates a Flare Blitz, because I could just close combat T-Tar on the switch end if he goes for that. And the bottom 3 mons also don't appreciate it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lead and go for a Flare Blitz. It's sashed Ariados. I take 29% recoil, and then you get some sticky webs. So at this point, I'm not sure if he wants to preserve the Ariados, even if it's at 1%, because it would outspeed Probopass. Most likely, it has speed invest, and that he'd be able to get webs up in case I remove them, at any point in the game. However, obviously my Monferno outspeeds this Ariados, and I have U-turn, so it makes all the sense in the world for me to click U-turn. And I'm pretty sure I go Mesprit because I'm floating, so I don't get touched by the webs, and this baits in one of his 2 dark types, being Houndoom and T-Tar, which because he doesn't have Feraligatr, I'm okay with burning the Colbur that I have, and so I'm just going to be able to either Energy Ball if he does go T-Tar, or I'd be able to U-turn on the Houndoom if he does that route. And so he does choose to go Houndoom. Oh, I paused at the wrong time. And he clicks Dark Pulse. I pop the Colbur. We take 32. Not a big deal. However, we flinch on the U-turn. And that really isn't huge. I'm just going to be able to, click it again. So Dark Pulse again to 65, which again makes sense because the Colbur did 32, so 65 is right in line with the rolls. I do U-turn, deal 30 damage, and I actually go into Rotom here. because I'm assuming he's scarfed. I don't I don't think I ever ran the calc. I don't know. He might have been specs. He might have been scarfed. But all I knew is I'm scarfed. And so worst case scenario, he hits me with a scarf dark pulse. I live and get a defog off. Better case scenario, he switches, expecting me to thunderbolt. And then I guess worst case scenario is I use scarf defog. He isn't choice locked, and then just fire blasts me to oblivion. However, he does switch into Xatu, which I guess was kind of interesting, but magic bounces back to defog. Either way, we get rid of the webs. Now at this point, I have to switch out because I'm choice locked into defog, obviously. I go into Mesprit as a sack, and then he shows U-turn. So this is really good for me because he just goes right back into Houndoom, and now I get to choose what mon I want to go into. And it's obviously Monferno because Houndoom can't touch it. It'll do like 15% with Dark Pulse, and I think just barely more with Fire Blast. And I just choose to slack off here. I wasn't sure if he was going to make a Pylo play or like what he was really thinking. I guess Pylo would be an awful play. Xatu's obviously the move, but I just wanted to get my health back. And so now I go from Monferno right into Probopass. And at this point, he wishes, and so I know there's no sense for me to attack the Xatu. I might as well go for Toxic. And Toxic's completely free with Probopass because even if he uses Magic Bounce, I can't be poisoned. So I'm going to get a Toxic on one of the other 4 Mons. Otherwise, we just stand there wasting a turn as he is at 100% and I didn't touch him. And then the Wish would be wasted. And so here I just fire off a Toxic. He gets, 6% back, or nothing back from the Wish, and then the Toxic damage comes. He actually predicted the Icicle Crash, or the Rotom Mow coming in, which I thought he was going to go for an Earthquake, obviously. And he predicted it and went for an Icicle Crash, which was a super good play on his part, but it did miss. Now, I don't think it really made much of a difference. I mean, it would have been super big, like, momentum-wise, but I would have been able to go into, like, Monferno and close combat and do a good chunk. Plus after the Toxic, I think then Pylo would have died, but I would have also been able to go into Probopass and protect for a turn. And that's the thing, I could have once I was into Stud Muffin, I could have protected for a turn, but I did actually assume he was going to go for Stealth Rocks. So him going not only not Stealth Rocks and not Earthquake, but rather Icicle Crash was a really impressive move on his part. Unfortunately, it missed for him, which just gets me Mow in. And here I'm just going to double because I know he's going to Icicle Crash this time. Like, he's either going to switch or Icicle Crash. And if he switches, I'm okay with being in with Monferno against everything. And if he doesn't switch, it's going to be an Icicle Crash because he's not going to Earthquake when I have Rotom Mow out. And so Monferno obviously eats the Icicle Crash. And now if this Piloswine had 252 HP and no bulk, I think close combat would kill the Piloswine. However, if it had any defensive bulk, it could very much live the CC. And so I did not want to risk it. And so I just switch. I might have U-turned. Yeah, I just U-turned because that would have gotten me one more turn of poison damage. And getting that U-turn was really good information on me because for me, because that shows Xatu is Rocky Helmet. And now on this play, I could have done I could have done one of two things. I could have pursued it, expecting him to switch out, or I could have clicked knockoff. Now, this is, I think, early enough in the game, and he does not Colbur, so if he was Colbur, I probably would have clicked Pursuit, expecting him to switch to just take the hit. However, at this point in the game, if I fire off a knockoff, I pretty much pick up a KO, because if Raikou switches in on the knockoff, if it had a Choice Scarf, it's gone now. Tyranitar, if it switches in on the knockoff, if it had the Fighting Berry, it's gone now. Same thing with Houndoom. If it's Scarfed, it's gone now. So having Weavile in and being able to click knockoff here pretty much just guaranteed me a kill, which is super good. And so I didn't think I need to mess around with clicking Pursuit, as he actually just lets me have the the Zatu, and maybe he thought I was gonna click the pursuit and that he would like roost up or something. However, he didn't. Um, well, obviously I just clicked knockoff, so I killed the Zatu, and at this point, T-Tar can be a decent threat. Rather, I don't have anything that can switch into it. I mean, Rotom could, and then fire off Leaf Storms now kind of for freely. But more importantly, I just didn't want T-Tar to get up a Dragon Dance just because that'd be annoying. Because if it's like Super Spadef Dragon Dance, it would live a Leaf Storm. And then there's not a whole lot I could do against it. Because I don't have Ice Shard on Weavile. And Monferno obviously is not taking something from him. So I just fire off a low kick because if he's not a berry, it kills. Because look at that. The low kick through the Chople did 74%. But super cool play by Hihoshi running the berry and baits my Weavile and kills it. So next I get to go up into Garchomp, and if you look now, weak to rock or weak to ground, Piloswine. And so I can just fire off an Earthquake, and he obviously has to go into Piloswine to try and revenge me. I double right into Probopass here because he's going to go for an Ice Shard. But he actually clicks Rocks, which it doesn't matter for me. I can just click Protect here as he does reveal the Earthquake. I think that's, yeah, actually the first time he clicks it. So he might have not even had Ice Shard, but then here I go Rotom, and he makes the prediction again this time, and it lands. And so I get to go into Monferno here, and pretty much, and then he shows Ice Shard as I close combat and get the kill. Now at this point, Raikou is essentially the last threat because I'm thinking Houndoom is choice locked because it switched out on my Rotom, which means it can't kill both Garchomp and Probopass when they're at full. So all I need to ensure is that Monferno plus Probopass pretty much Probopass wins with Earthquake because neither of these mons, since they're special, and aren't hitting him with a 4 times effective move, they're not killing Probopass. So I could just click EQ and kind of win. But all I want to do is make sure that Raikou does not get behind the sub, because that could just become annoying for me. And so at this point, I click Flare Blitz, or Close Combat. There's no sense for me to click Flare Blitz because that would give me recoil, unless I'm trying to bait the burn, I guess, but that's just kind of silly. And I click Close Combat and I actually get a crit, but fortunately for him, and really just for the game in general, Raikou lived. That would have just been annoying had I one-shot it. It doesn't really change much in the end, but like it gives Raikou a kill, which it deserved. And so he just clicks Thunderbolt, kills the Monferno. I go into Probopass. The only difference here is now instead of me clicking EQ with Probopass, I just click Volt Switch on it because as you see, Thunderbolt from a +1 Raikou did 37%. But I just click Volt Switch, go into Garchomp, and because I'm Yachi, there isn't anything that he can do to kill Garchomp from full with a Houndoom. There's just nothing. And so he does show HP Ice, does 41% because of my berry, and then I knock it out with Earthquake. And so that brings me up to 1-0 with a solid 2 differential after the first week in the Mono Gen League. So really good game for Hihoshi. It was very close. Probopass and Monferno both did what I was hoping they'd do. I know this is kind of like a lower tier, bringing Monferno being tier 5, Mesprit being tier 5, and then Probopass for whatever being tier 4. Nonetheless, it is. I'm hoping that I do get to showcase these lower tier mons throughout the weeks just because they're, a ton of fun to use. Maybe a barrel one week. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys later.